I'm going to talk about one of the biggest challenges that I see in every relationship, and I believe it's happening here between Edmond and KB. It's the moment when both partners are triggered at the same time. Two people reacting from old pain at the exact same time. I call it when triggers collide. And when that happens, it doesn't matter how much love you have for each other, you can't hear each other. And that's exactly what we're watching unfold between Edmond and KB. And that's what I will be breaking down with you today. Hi, I'm Dr. Pam, therapist and relationship counselor. Welcome to my channel. And if you haven't been here before, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for your thoughtful comments and for being part of this growing community. And if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe so we can keep growing together, both in your relationships and personally, if that is something you would like more of. Also, I know that Love is Blind is a heavily edited show, and I don't know any of these individuals personally, and I am not diagnosing anyone. I am simply commenting on what we're shown so that you and I can explore relationship patterns, communication, and emotional dynamics. And my goal is never to judge anyone, but to offer insights that can help you better understand yourself and your relationships. Also, this is part 2 of my video about Edmond and KB. And in part 1, I talked about how certain behaviors we see in KB and Edmond likely trace back to very early trauma. For Edmond, his trauma likely began during infancy because he was in foster care so early. And when someone grows up with emotional deprivation, instability, and inconsistent caregiving, their adult relationships often reflect those early unmet needs. And for KB, in her own way, is carrying abandonment wounds as well. So for someone who has longed to be chosen, Edmond's kind of intensity that comes from his trauma can feel like love and safety and being wanted. But it can also make it harder to see the underlying fragility or unmet needs driving that intensity. Their connection and their challenges make far more sense when you view it through the lens of two people whose early experiences were shaped by their trauma and how they now understand love, safety, and connection. And for this part 2, I want to be very clear about something very important. I am not here to analyze every behavior Edmond and KB show on camera. Yes, there was a lot of emotional immaturity we witnessed in both of them, but instead of focusing more so on their individual behaviors, I'm going to focus on trauma patterns underneath what we see, the patterns that shape how people respond to love, fear, conflict, and connection. And when we understand those patterns, we learn something meaningful about ourselves, not just the couple on the screen. And in my last video, we ended with their argument in Mexico when KB wanted to wait to have sex before marriage, and there was quite a meltdown from Edmond. Let's start today with what happened the next morning when they worked toward repair, and then I will break down conflict that they experience and talk about what it looks like when triggers collide.
I really apologize for what I said yesterday. I'm being really selfish. You told me you want to wait until marriage, and I just really wanted you before marriage. But I'm thankful for you, to give me the chance, get to that point to where we can actually make it more special. So I'm really thankful.
When two people in a relationship are carrying trauma, each person responds to conflict through the lens of how their early experiences shape them. Most of us carry some form of hurt from our past, whether it comes from a parent, a childhood experience, or a painful relationship. And those moments quietly shape how we show up in love. And for someone like Edmond, who grew up with instability and emotional deprivation, conflict doesn't feel like a moment to slow down and understand each other. It feels like danger. It feels like the beginning of losing someone, and that is terrifying. So when conflict happens, the only goal for him becomes ending the discomfort as quickly as possible. Not because he is uncaring, but because his body has learned that distress is unsafe. And what's really happening inside in that moment is, please don't leave me. please make this stop. And that's why you often won't see empathy or curiosity in these kind of moments, because those skills were never modeled or nurtured in childhood. And when a person doesn't receive consistent care or emotional presence growing up, they don't automatically know how to offer those things in an adult relationship. Their system is still wired for survival, not connection. So when we hear something like, I want to apologize, I was selfish, and I am thankful for you, it's less about understanding the impact of his actions and more about trying to quickly restore stability. It is a plea for safety. It is an attempt to repair the rupture as fast as possible so the fear of being abandoned can settle. And this is why trauma in relationships can feel so confusing. What looks like an apology is often really an effort to soothe panic, not an expression of emotional insight. And when trauma shows up on both sides, it can collide in painful ways. One person is desperately trying to restore connection as quickly as possible because conflict feels like abandonment, while the other person, shaped by their own history of being let down, needs accountability and clarity before they can move forward. Those two needs don't meet each other easily.
You going through a lot of that same shit. You get it, yeah.
I really do want you, KB. Like,
I know.
you already know I'm here. Like, I'll keep it at that, but I'm definitely here. Here for you. I'm finally like happy to like actually do things with my girl, my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Except, yeah, like I've been craving that, wanting it so bad. That's what I've been like dreaming for.
And I've been craving that too.
Edmond often reassures KB that he's there for her, but what's really happening is this. He's trying to reassure himself, and when someone grows up with abandonment, the fear of being left can sit just beneath the surface. So you give the very thing you are desperate to receive, and in his case, reassurance that he won't be left again. And for KB, her core longing is to feel wanted. So when Edmond offers that reassurance, it lands for her because it speaks directly to her wound. Both of them share a moment where they talk about a craving that they have for a partner and a best friend, and that longing is very real and deep for both of them. But what's often missed is why it feels so intense. Longing on that level usually comes from a deeper place, the early pain of not feeling wanted or emotionally held as a child. And when two people both carry that history, the connection feels powerful at first, almost like finally feeling seen and loved in the way that you always craved. But what draws you together in the beginning doesn't necessarily create the stability needed to sustain a relationship over time unless you work towards self-awareness and insight to recognize how your past wounds impact what's happening in your current relationship.
We both got some work to do though. Yesterday, I'm just a little stuck on it a little bit still. But I'm also a little stubborn, I'm gonna admit. I struggle to get over things sometimes, but I wanna get over that. So I don't mean to be dry or anything like that. Like, I truly appreciate you.
When KB shares that the two of them have work to do and that she is stubborn, I don't think that she realizes that what she's really feeling in that moment isn't just stubbornness. What she may actually be struggling with is that her deeper need after conflict wasn't met. Here's why. For someone who has been abandoned by a parent, someone who tried for years to get accountability, repair, or acknowledgement from their father, like KB, and never received it, even a small sign of ownership from a partner can feel significant.
I don't talk to my dad. He was absent father. I'm having to grieve someone that's still here.
Mm-hmm.
And someone that I really wanted a relationship with, and someone that I've told on multiple occasions how I feel and why did you ever feel like it was okay to stop being a father? He don't get it.
So when Edmond says, I'm sorry, I was selfish, that may be more accountability than she has ever received from her father. And because that is familiar pain for her, she may unconsciously settle for that small step. Because small steps are all she knew growing up, if she even knew small steps at all. But even though that apology mattered, her need wasn't fully met. They didn't have a conversation that helped her feel understood. She didn't receive empathy or space for her emotions about what happened the night before. Instead, she takes ownership by describing herself as stubborn rather than recognizing her deeper need for understanding and emotional repair was not met. And this is common when you've experienced trauma in childhood. When your parent didn't meet your emotional needs and never modeled emotional maturity, you learn to expect very little in moments of repair. So next, let's break down the conflict at the party between Edmond and KB.
I'm not perfect or nothing like that.
We all have our things.
No, Nick is perfect.
No, I'm not
You're
perfect.
actually right.
Damn!
not perfect.
Just to be able to hear that would be crazy. Even though you're not, just to hear it. Even though you're not, just to hear it. I know, you're lucky.
To hear what?
It's often the case that you don't even see when both of you are triggered at the exact same time. Let's watch a little bit more and I'll explain what I mean.
And she knows it's not true.
To hear what? Say it.
Oh, he perfect.
And you said that would be nice.
Even though it's not the case. But she's still like, not even saying that ain't the case. Like,
Are you comparing your relationship?
no, I'm not. I'm just saying that's nice to hear. Like,
Yeah, right?
it would be crazy to
It
hear.
would be crazy. Admire, don't compare. Literally just said, to hear that would be perfect, would be great. You're comparing, you're making it seem like I'm not doing enough.
One of the biggest challenges in relationships is when triggers collide, meaning both of you are triggered at the exact same time. Triggers, simply put, are when past pain is felt in the present. And if you are not aware that you're reacting to the past and the present at the same time, that is a lot for any couple to hold during an argument, and even more so when it is a trauma trigger. In this moment with Edmond and KB, it's very possible that both of them are reacting from old pain. Obviously, I can't know exactly what their triggers are, but one way that you can recognize a trigger is when your emotional reaction feels disproportionately strong for the moment you're in. And that usually means that something from the past is being stirred up and layered onto the present. Here is one way to understand what may be happening for each of them so I can teach the concept of triggers colliding in a relationship. So for Edmond, someone who grew up with instability and very little consistent affirmation, hearing positive things becomes deeply important. And when a child doesn't feel seen or valued, they often grow into adults who long for reassurance and positive affirmation in order to feel safe and loved. And when those emotional needs were never met, big feelings can spill out quickly. That isn't intentional. It is a reflection of how overwhelming it can feel when old pain resurfaces. And for KB, she may have felt misunderstood or even publicly embarrassed in that moment. And if she carries abandonment wounds from her relationship with her father, a core trigger for her may be the fear of being dismissed or rejected for who she is, feeling like she is not enough.
You're comparing, you're making it seem like I'm not doing enough.
So when her partner reacts in a way that feels confusing or destabilizing, that old wound can easily get stirred up. What happens is that you have two people, each responding from a younger part of themselves, not only for who they are today, but for the parts that they were shaped by past hurts. And when those reactions happen at the same time for both of you, the emotional intensity becomes almost impossible for both of you to stay connected while working through conflict in a sort of grounded way.
No,
If you said it, you meant it. It wasn't a joke.
I don't hear no positive stuff from me.
You say you don't hear enough positive? And this is the place to bring that shit up at?
I can just not.
Give me another problem now. If this is a place for you to tell me that kind of shit. We live together. You
I
ain't tell me
know,
nothing like that.
don't want to do this here.
You brought it up.
I know, but I don't want to do this here.
You have no answer for me? You brought that here.
So I just want to remind you, remember, I am focusing on emotional patterns beneath what we see, not their individual behaviors on screen. So KB is likely reacting to the feeling that she isn't enough, while Edmond is reacting to the need to know that he's doing something right. And when both people are triggered, it becomes almost impossible to hear each other. All you feel is the old pain mixing with the present moment. KB says that he's comparing their relationship to others, but what's actually happening is that Edmond is seeing something he likely never experienced as a child, being adored without conditions. When another couple describes the other person as perfect, it shocks him because for a child who never felt chosen, that kind of affirmation never existed. And for KB, whose father abandoned her, she hears something entirely different. She hears that she's not measuring up, that she's somehow falling short, and that can go straight to the heart of her self-worth.
What have you told me that was nice? Like, what have you...
I literally just told you last night that I appreciated you so much. Why are you bringing that here?
I know.
I didn't do a full thing then. Because Junkie, you literally just said you lit. Stop cutting me off. You hear me talking. Like, what did I do for you to start with me? I'm literally hyped.
I know, I was making like...
You looked at me and said, when was the last time you said something nice to me? And then said, when did you say something nice to me today?
When two people have experienced trauma, the way they move through conflict can be very different. KB comes toward conflict very directly because for someone with abandonment wounds, accountability is often the deepest unmet need. When you grow up with a parent who never takes responsibility for how they've hurt you, you can spend your adulthood longing for someone who will finally see it, name it, and repair it. That longing can make you push harder in conflict without even realizing it. Edmond comes from a very different trauma imprint. When you grow up without stability or emotional safety, conflict doesn't feel like a conversation. It feels like a threat. It can stir up old fears of being left, not being enough, or losing connection altogether. That history makes it difficult to understand how your words and actions affect others in the moment, because the only goal becomes make the conflict stop so I don't lose you. So in conflict, instead of understanding what their partner needs, they may focus only on stopping the discomfort. These two trauma responses collide, one pushing for accountability and the other trying to escape, feeling emotionally overwhelmed and unsafe.
Edmond, when was I home for you to say something to me? And the time I was home, did you say something to me about...
No, you walked in with like everything that was wrong.
And why?
Because something went wrong. But we got.
But you still don't understand why it went wrong.
I know, but baby.
That's the problem, Edmond. You have a good night. I'll have a good night. Now you're being fair.
The other common challenge in this moment is that both of them are likely feeling shame. KB feeling like she isn't enough, and Edmond feeling corrected or scolded. Shame is powerful. It can shut you down or you can lash out, and it makes it harder to hear each other and often pulls both people back into the old coping patterns that were formed long before the relationship even started.
I love you.
I don't want to hear that.
I know,
no,
but
Edmond, I don't want to hear that.
I know, but you keep talking to me.
No,
I'm not
Edmond,
looking.
I don't want to.
I'm gonna listen to you. I'm being serious.
If you can't be an adult and look at me and have a conversation, I'm not going to talk to you.
When two people are triggered at the same time, resolving that conflict in the moment is extremely difficult, especially if neither person realizes that they are reacting to both the present and old pain at the same time. So what do? The healthiest step is to pause the conversation, but not by withdrawing or shutting down. And I know that this is extraordinarily hard to do. However, a pause works best when both people agree to return to it, even if it's the next day after both of you have had time to reflect. During that pause, it can help to ask yourself, does what I'm feeling right now remind me of something I felt earlier in my life? And let me be clear, triggers don't mean the present hurt is invalid. It just means that you are feeling it more intensely because something familiar has been stirred up. And when you can recognize that, you can begin to sort out what belongs to the present moment and what belongs to the past. My mantra for triggers is, it feels the same, but it is not the same. So with that in mind, the next step is challenging but powerful. Try to see how your partner in this moment is different from the person or situation that originally caused the wound. Again, I don't want to make this sound easy. It is extremely challenging work. But for example, for Edmond, he may struggle with criticism, and that pain may come from childhood. But that doesn't mean KB doesn't see the good in him. That is how his experience now is different from his past. And for KB, even though Edmond expressed something painful about perfection, it doesn't mean that he sees her as inadequate. In fact, he tends to idealize her, which is also not healthy, but it shows that he holds her in a very high place emotionally. Again, not the same as her experience with her father growing up.
What about Patrick?
I need you to grow up and be an adult and talk to me about stuff. That's all I be asking of you.
Nah, but really though, I do love you.
Edmond, I don't want to hear that.
I know, I don't care
but you
about being
always-
serious.
No, Edmond, how many times have I told you that anytime I'm upset, I don't want to hear how you love me and you need me. I want a solution to the problem.
But
No,
KB says she doesn't want to hear "I love you" from Edmond because what she really needs in these moments is accountability. And Edmond wants their conflict to end as fast as possible. These are both trauma-driven needs, and they sit on the opposite end of the spectrum. So for KB, hearing "I love you" in the middle of conflict feels premature, almost like it's skipping over the repair she has longed for her entire life. For her, accountability is love. It's someone saying, "I see how my actions affected you, and I feel terrible that I hurt you." And because she never received that from her father, this need is especially strong. For Edmond, wanting the conflict to end immediately comes from a very different place. When you grow up with instability, conflict doesn't feel like a disagreement. It feels like danger, as I have said. And the fastest way to make that danger stop is to plead for connection. "I'm sorry, I love you, please don't be upset." It's not manipulation, it's fear. And this makes listening incredibly difficult for both of them. When trauma shows up on both sides, each person begins speaking from their wound, not from their present day self. So instead of hearing each other, they hear their past. KB hears another person not taking accountability, and Edmond hears the possibility of losing someone he finally feels wanted. With that kind of emotional intensity, truly listening becomes almost impossible. Not because they don't care, but because trauma narrows the focus to survival, not understanding.
I say you might.
why won't you just walk away?
I know, I might die tonight. I might die. I think I'm about to die.
She lying to you?
I know, I'm about to die.
No.
I
Hey.
may die. I just walked away.
Hey.
No, go. Hey.
But
Hey,
it's too late
look,
now.
hey, no. Look at me.
Oh my God, I might die.
Hey, look at me.
Wait.
Look at me.
It might seem dramatic to hear Edmond say he might die, but for someone with his history, that feeling is very real. When a child is moved from home to home, like he was in foster care, there are moments where it feels like the world is falling apart, like safety is gone, love is gone, and there's no one to hold on to. Children don't have the ability to make sense of that kind of upheaval, so the body remembers it as danger. So in this moment, he isn't responding just to what KB said, he's reacting to the old panic of being taken from one place to the next, never knowing if stability or love will remain. It's trauma coming forward for him. And even though neither of them are responding with emotional maturity here, the layer underneath it is different for each of them. KB can walk away and still hold herself together emotionally. She has the capacity to separate, reflect, and return. That doesn't mean that she handles conflict well, but it does mean that she doesn't feel like she will die. Edmond doesn't have that same capacity. Walking away doesn't create space for him, it creates fear. And that's the collision. Two people trying to resolve a moment. One reliving fear and the other holding firm because she needs clarity and accountability before she can move forward.
Why do I always have to be the one to bring up the elephant in the room?
Until Edmond does some of his own growth work, KB will likely always be the one to bring up the elephant in the room, not because he doesn't care, but because conflict is frightening for someone with his history. Like I shared with you, for him, conflict feels like danger, not a conversation. And when you've never had conflict modeled in a healthy way, you don't just automatically know how to step into it. It's a bit like asking someone to fix your plumbing when they've never been taught how. It's not that they're unwilling, they simply don't have the tools yet.
I tried to say something last night.
When
I was trying to come and talk to you.
it's funny.
I'm not trying to lie, but seriously, when I tried to come and talk to you, you was like, don't talk to me.
After the 4 or 5 things that you had already done, correct? Let's tell the whole story.
Yeah, you go.
Let's tell the whole story.
We got different stories.
Tell me your story, Edmond. I'm gonna tell you my story.
Edmond's laughter is coming from discomfort. I see this often. When someone has a hard time tolerating intense emotion, especially someone else's, the body does whatever it can to release that tension. And for him, the intensity of KB's emotion is overwhelming, and laughter becomes an automatic way to cope. And while that kind of reaction can feel incredibly agitating to be on the receiving end of it, it's important to understand that it's not dismissive, it's a trauma-shaped response to emotional overload. So as they attempt to talk this through, they continue to come from the exact same place that they came from during the conflict. Edmond apologizes because he wants the conflict to end, and KB tells a very long story about why she was upset. With him, with the same goal in mind, she wants accountability.
I mean, if I didn't want to do this, I wouldn't be here. So I stay because I know I love you. I stay because I know there was a reason why I chose to say yes to you. I stay because I see your potential. But potential has broken my heart plenty times before. So it puts me in a dilemma.
When you choose someone for their potential, you are not actually choosing them. You are choosing the imagined version of who you hope that they will become. And when relationships begin from that place, you often end up in a painful pattern. One partner, like KB, will consistently feel frustrated, hurt, and disappointed because the person in front of them can't meet the expectations that they've built in their mind. And for the other partner, like Edmond, you will end up feeling inadequate, ashamed, and overwhelmed because they are being measured against what they were never taught, never supported in, and may not yet have the capacity for. Choosing potential isn't a flaw, it is a trauma response. It often comes from longing for someone to finally become what you needed growing up. But it sets both people up to relive old wounds rather than build something grounded in who they truly are today.
I want to hold myself accountable to like everything that like I said sorry for. And also the things that you brought to my attention. Period.
I would like to see that. I appreciate you saying that you will be accountable now.
In patterns like the one that we're seeing, it's very common for someone with Edmond's history to learn to say the words they believe will calm the conflict. When you grow up in an environment where connection is fragile, you quickly learn what people want to hear because that is the only way to keep things stable. So when Edmond uses the word accountable, it isn't manipulative. It's the only tool that he has because it is the word that KB has consistently said to him. He's trying to be good, to do the right thing that will make the tension stop because he hasn't had the chance to develop the deeper emotional skills behind those words.
And I shouldn't allow myself to get as elevated or as heightened, and I apologize for that. I should be more open to hearing your perspective, even if I don't agree with it or understand it. So I apologize for that. And I don't be trying to beat you up. Even in the midst of me talking to people yesterday when I explained, I'm like, I'm not beating him up. I love that man. That's the man I chose. I'm still going to choose him.
And now that KB hears what she interprets as accountability from Edmond, she softens. She apologizes for her heightened emotions and for not listening, and she reassures him that she isn't trying to beat him up. However, what's actually happening here is a familiar trauma pattern. The moment both partners feel a little safer, they move quickly to repair without fully understanding what happened. The conflict may calm down, but the core needs underneath it remain unaddressed, which is why we see repeated conflict between KB and Edmond. And sadly, ultimately, KB saying no to Edmond at the altar. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's this. Your triggers are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs of what you have been through. When you can start recognizing those moments, not with judgment, but with curiosity, you give yourself and your relationship a chance to grow instead of repeating the past. And when you understand the emotional history shaping each of you, conflict stops feeling like a personal attack and starts becoming something that you can work through together. That's where real connection begins. Well, that is a wrap for today. Make sure to come back for more personal growth and relational healing. See you next time.